Transat has been ordered to cover the out-of-pocket expenses for passengers who were caught up in an hours-long delay on the tarmac in Ottawa this past summer. This story made headlines right across the country. Two flights, one from Rome, the other from Belgium, sat on that tarmac for 5-6 hours this past summer. It got very hot, very uncomfortable. People were very angry as well. They were not allowed to get off the planes. They were short on food and water. At one point, a baby was throwing up. The Canadian Transportation Agency today saying that Air Transat was clearly to blame for this and how it all spun out of control. It says the airline broke its agreement with its own passengers about when they can be let off a flight due to a delay on the tarmac. During 2 days of hearings back in August, passengers described just horrible, horrible conditions. At one point, in fact, one of the passengers actually called Ottawa police and they got on board the plane. You can imagine just how extreme it must have been. For more on the implications of this decision by the board, let's bring in air passenger rights activist Gabor Lukács, who's joining us now from Halifax. Good to have you on. What do you make of this decision by the agency?
Good afternoon. I'm pleased that the rights of the public have been vindicated. At the same time, I'm troubled about the lack of transparency relating to the issue of fines. When you read the decision and its reasons, I'm not able to find clear explanation how the amount of the fine was calculated and based on what legislation the agency purports to waive the fine under certain circumstances. To my knowledge, and without reading further reasons that would explain that, this sounds to me as a kangaroo court style of dealing with the matter without any reference to the law and the well-established principles of the rule of law.
What sort of message, Gabor, do you think it sends to Air Transat and other airlines about what they need to do in this kind of situation when it comes to their own passengers?
It sends a mixed message. On the one hand, the decision vindicates passengers morally, but when it comes to the amount of the fine and the consequences, this is about 10% or even less than that of the amount of fine that could be issued. Our calculation was that a $2.8 million fine would have been justified and appropriate in the circumstances. So this is a very, very mild consequence, which anyway the agency is offering to waive under some circumstances, which raises questions about the legality of what the agency is doing. It strikes me as an attempt to please the public, to create the false impression that the Canadian Transportation Agency is now enforcing the law, to please the Senate, which has now a transportation bill before it. But in reality, it is just a mask for continuing the same neglect, the same disregard of passenger rights by the regulator, and the same attitude of being cozy with the airlines. This is a token, not a real remedy.
So just a mild slap on the wrists is what you're saying with this ruling?
It is a mild slap on the wrist as far as the amount of the fine is concerned, and there is a complete lack of transparency based on what I have seen so far, how the fine was calculated, and what gives the agency the authority to waive a fine. To my knowledge, there is nothing in the Canada Transportation Act that would permit that. There may be a clause to that effect that I have overlooked, but I would like to see the reasons. I would like to see how it was calculated and based on what provisions they are promising to waive that fine to Air Transat under some circumstances.
Gabor, great to have you with us here on CTV amid this news. Thank you.